We gotta risk it for the biscuit. So launch control, so foot all the way down the brake. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be reviewing the all-new Hyundai Kona N. First and foremost though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get right into it. Under the hood, we have a turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder that goes through an 8-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 20 around town and then 27 on the highway, with power outputs being 276 horsepower and then 289 pound-feet of torque. And it gives this car a 0 to 60 time of just 5.3 seconds. Starting things off with the front end of the Kona, this is finished in the Sonic Blue, which is a really cool color. It's kind of like a grayish blue is the best way to put it, so you guys can kind of see that. Notice you got these distinctive lines here on the hood, and then we have like our nostrils here down below. It's kind of interesting. And then here's a quick look at the daytime running light, and then down below you guys can see with the LED headlamp, and then we've got some blacked out trim here below that. And then notice that the whole grille is darker, including the Hyundai logo, and you can see all of the trim here at the bottom as well. And then notice we've got our red trim there at the very bottom, and altogether I actually think that it's a pretty cool looking, you know, crossover, lifted hatchback, whatever you want to call it, from the front end. Coming around the side here, tire and wheel setup is 235/40/19 in the front and in the rear as well. This also comes with an electronic limited slip differential, and there is some adjustment with suspension as well, so this thing should handle amazingly well with everything being taken into consideration. Now, let's go over the wheel design itself. You guys can see with the silver on the top, and notice how it's kind of like darker below that, which I think looks really cool. Lots of dust there on that red brake caliper. It looks like whoever had this before me had quite a bit of fun. And then you guys can see the front suspension. And then I love how the like fender flare here, I guess if I can call it that, is molded, obviously body painted. And then you can see more of the red accenting. It's an N thing. And then notice the mirror is blacked out, and the trim around the window is also blacked out. And then there's actually another N logo right there, which is pretty cool. And then here's your full side view, which again, this looks pretty cool. It's kind of like a little lifted hatchback, and so I think they did a good job from a design perspective. So here's our key fob for the Kona N. Notice we have the N logo there on the back of the key fob, which is pretty cool. And then we got some pretty basic functions here on the front. We have our lock, unlock, and then the remote start function as well. Now, this just has a regular like hydraulic opening hatch, so you guys can see does most of the work for you. And then we've got a cargo cover built in from the factory. And then notice some storage space. We have our tire mobility kit, which is a pretty funny name, but anyways, pretty decent storage space. Again, this is definitely a subcompact crossover, so yeah, it's not massive, but it's practical enough. And then you've got this little handle that you can grab and then throw it down. Now, finishing things up with the rest of the rear, you guys can see we've got this pretty aggressive spoiler here at the top, and then notice down below with the taillights, I think they actually look pretty dang cool. And then notice that the badges back here are all chrome, which is interesting because again, the front badge was all darkened. And then we have, I guess, our second set of lights down below, and then notice with the black accenting, and then notice more red trim around here. And then you can see with the diffuser, pretty interesting looking. And then we've got pretty aggressive exhaust tips as well. And so overall, I think that this is actually a pretty cool looking crossover. Now here's the rear door panel. You guys can see we've got some padding here for the passenger, and then we've got the end seats. So notice the stitching actually matches the exterior color, which I think is pretty nifty. But notice we got these nice inserts here inside of the seats, so it gives it kind of like a sportier feel. Or the seat belts though. It'd be cool if they made those colored too. Anyways, legroom. Yes, we're wearing shorts today. It's okay. Again, you got to remember this is like a subcompact crossover. And then notice with the cup holder armrest setup, then we got some netting here on the side, USB down below, and yeah, overall, I love the look of the seats back here. Let's head to the front. Now here's the front door panel. You guys can see again with the padding. Then notice we got all of our window controls here, mirror adjustments, you know, all the normal stuff. Blind spot monitoring for the mirrors. We have an N logo right there. And then also here on the seats, you guys can see another N logo and then the stitching that goes around. And I like that little thing right there, the perforations, pretty cool. Anyways, seats in the front are the same as the back. Obviously bolstering is a little bit more aggressive. Notice the driver's seat, power adjustable. And then you guys can see the pedals are actually really nice. I love how you have the gas cap release just chilling right there. And then this actually has hill descent control because again, it is a crossover. Steering wheel is manually adjustable. Let's pop in. Now here's our steering wheel for the Kona N. You guys can see we've got nice like soft touch leather at the top and then at the bottom, but notice it's perforated here on the sides and get slightly better grip. We've got more of that blue stitching, another N logo. We have our NGS mode right here. Notice it says the conditions aren't met. This is basically like your boost button is the best way to look at it. It makes everything really aggressive and we'll use it in the driving portion. Anyways, we have two different like N modes here on the steering wheel, but notice that the like print on it's a little bit different. So if I press this one actually does the drive modes. We'll go over that later. And then this one puts us into an actual like N mode. So completely different. And then you guys can see here, we've got our cruise control with our steering assistance. And then we do have paddle shifters here for the 8-speed dual clutch on the back as well. Voice command, phone controls, turn signal light stock, windshield wiper stock, and well, there's the steering wheel. Now here's the center gauge cluster. It's a full digital gauge cluster. Now just like other Hyundai models, we can scroll through some different pages here to see different bits of info here on the Kona. Pretty straightforward stuff, but first off, we got a regular drive mode. So we have like an eco mode, pretty normal. We got a normal mode, normal. Ah, see what I did there. Sport mode, which opens up the valves so the exhaust a little bit louder. And then we have a snow mode as well. And then obviously if we press the other N mode, notice it pops us into the full N mode, and then we also have our custom 2. Now if you want to get out of this, you actually have to press the N button on the left side to just throw you back into, well, eco mode, and then I can go back to normal mode. Anyways, lots of different drive modes, and there's the center. So here's our infotainment screen. First off, if we pop it into reverse, we do have a backup camera with trajectory lines that do turn with the steering wheel. And, you know, resolution camera system is pretty solid. Overall, you got the zoom function if you're ever going to hook up to a trailer. Now, as for the infotainment screen itself, response time is really solid. It's easy enough to use, and using it on a daily basis, like, no problem. My favorite thing, obviously, is going into the N mode page because it's got cool graphics. But notice it shows you a bunch of different performance information, like throttle, for example. And I'll let the car roll forward a little bit so you guys can see. Tells me the throttle percentage. I don't know, I think that stuff's fun, just being able to see everything that's happening in real time. And notice it lets us know how the custom 2 is set up as well. This also does come with launch control, so you just press that. And just like other, we'll just do it in the driving portion. I was gonna explain it, but we'll just do it in the driving portion. Anyways, that's the infotainment screen. So we have our vents down below, but more importantly, climate system. So single zone climate, but you do have automatic climate controls, which is nice. And then this is our charging area with our wireless phone charging pad. And then we have the shifter for that 8-speed dual clutch automatic. Pretty normal setup. Stability control button, and then our heated seats here for the front. And we have a drive mode select there, actually. So if you don't want to use the steering wheel control, you can use that dial. Then our parking brake, which has some nice trim on it. A couple cup holders, center console, and pretty normal glove box. We do have a mirror dimmer, and then just a darker colored headliner, nothing crazy. So window stickers via phone format, sorry about that. But anyways, you guys can see we have a 5-year 60,000 mile on the bumper to bumper, and then a 10-year 100,000 mile on the powertrain. Almost everything is standard equipment, which is pretty cool. Yeah, everything is standard actually. So it's just destination that is an option. So total MSRP is $35,445 on this one. Anyways, let's see how it drives. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off here. Here's your visibility over the hood. Both of the mirrors, which do have blind spot monitoring, and throughout the rest of the rear. And let's set off. So starting things off with our around town driving, and then trust me, we'll get to the fun driving very shortly. I just want to talk about the daily drivability, and I guess I picked the best possible day to do this review because it's raining and yeah, it'll be fun. But anyways, it's actually pretty comfortable. Now this is definitely on the firmer side of things from a suspension standpoint, but it's not too annoying. But when you go over bumps, like, you feel it. It doesn't like shake the vehicle. Like, this is very rigid actually, which is really impressive. But yeah, you do feel it. And this does not have the turn signal camera, which, yeah, it's a nice bit of safety tech to have. But seat comfort's actually pretty good. The bolsters are very wide, and you know, they hold you in place pretty well overall. And so, like, I'd say that they did a really good job from a daily driver perspective with this, by mixing like some fun sporty driving characteristics with, you know, normal daily drivability basically. So I guess this is going to show us the grip of the Kona N, because this is an absolute like torrential downpour. I mean, at least for Utah standards. But first off, what I want to talk about is the confidence that you get with this car. And I feel like, I guess this rainy day will really show us just how like confidence inspiring this car is. And the transmission, so responsive. And it gets really good grip actually. Like, it's astounding the levels of grip that we're able to get here with the Kona. It is pretty firm, so you guys know what's going over the bumps. The chassis is kind of moving all over the place. Grip's really good actually. I'm impressed with the grip, frankly. I thought that I'd be a little bit on edge. Woo! Lost it there a little bit. But, you know, it does a pretty good job of putting down the power, even with the super rainy weather here. It's pretty much putting it down. So this is actually really impressive. I didn't think that it would be this good, you know, not being an all-wheel drive system. And, yeah, you know what? They actually did a pretty solid job with this. Being a front-wheel drive car, this is frankly impressive. Okay, well, even though it is raining like crazy, we gotta risk it for the biscuit. So launch control, so foot all the way down the brake. Oh, wow. That is impressive. I've got it in the grin shift mode right now. This thing's better in automatic than it is in manual mode, frankly. Honestly, like, I don't want to shift. I don't want to do the paddles myself. Now the suspension is pretty maxed out on this road from a bump perspective. Wow, this thing's impressive, honestly, from a performance perspective. Sorry if the GoPro view is not great. I'm trying my best, but like, oh my gosh, yeah, this car has more than enough power. Oh my gosh. And it can put it down. Again, we have these nasty, slick, bumpy roads. This is like the worst possible driving conditions for this kind of car. And it's just doing it. Wow. How is this a Hyundai? How the heck is this a Hyundai? That was seriously some of the most impressive, not for me, but the car, some of the most impressive driving. I gotta get better driving in the rain, but that was cool. Okay, now that it's a little bit calmer down here, we gotta do that launch control again. It's loading. Launch control conditions not met. Oh, it's probably because I'm on a hill. Dang it. Well, I guess we'll sum things up with today's video, even though I can't do a launch control. So, like I said at the beginning of the video with the daily driving stuff, it's actually a pretty good daily driver. You do concede a little bit in terms of like ride comfort and all that. But it does have the adjustable suspension, so like just leave it in normal mode and you'll be super happy. From a performance standpoint, this drives more like a hot hatchback than it does like a sporty crossover. And the sounds are great. Like, you gotta love the exhaust sounds you get, and the speed is ridiculous. Like, when you hear the power figures, like under 300 horsepower, you don't think that that's all that much, but this thing, holy crap, can this thing move? It is just absolutely astounding. And I'm actually gonna pop it back into the normal mode for now. But yeah, this thing is crazy from a performance standpoint. I'd recommend just leave it in automatic mode if you can do performance driving, because it, like, with the tuning they have in the transmission, with where it shifts and everything, it's way better than what most people can do, including myself, just being honest here. And so, being a, you know, front wheel drive crossover, sporty crossover, I'm super impressed. I came into this review thinking that I was going to criticize this for being front wheel drive, and then I was going to say this needs all wheel drive, and I leave this saying that it really doesn't. Like, this puts down the power amazingly well. The only thing that was a little bit frustrating on that bumpy course that I have is the back end popped up quite a bit and the car kind of came unhinged, and it wasn't like scary. Like, again, I do a ton of off-road driving, so I'm kind of used to stuff like that happening because I drive pickup trucks all the time. So like I was able to handle it, but it's not like that part of it's not the most confidence inspiring. But other than that, this thing is phenomenal from a driving perspective. But just from a marketing perspective, even if the all-wheel drive system wouldn't do this car any justice from a driving perspective, I think that from a marketing perspective, it would help out this car amazingly well, and they'd sell so, like, leave down in the comment section below if you would buy the Kona N if it was all-wheel drive, because I think there's a lot of people that want like a sporty crossover with about this much horsepower with all-wheel drive. But let me know what you guys think about this thing, and let me know what you guys think about the rainy, bumpy road. That was an experience. That's gonna sum things up for a video on this Kona N, and with that being said, I will see all of you in that next video.